Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 7.
Seven.
I did this last week, and I remember it now. Of Comics on Comics.
Oh, you know what we should do?
What?
I'm Oscar.
I'm Max.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No one knows who we are.
Yeah, we never introduce ourselves.
Yeah. Anyways, today we are going to be discussing Volume 1.
Not reading.
No. I was very careful there.
Yeah, I know.
We Only Find Them When They're Dead by Ewing and Simone D. Mayo. He's Italian, so, yeah.
I hope it's Mio.
Why?
So he's not associated with mayonnaise.
Oh. Why? What's wrong with mayonnaise?
Is that something you want someone calling you mayonnaise?
No, I guess not.
Yeah.
Before we get into that, though.
We haven't had hot water in 2 days.
Yeah.
Just got fixed today.
I'm pretty tired. I had a week. Did you have a week?
I had a week, but I didn't do anything today.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty energized.
I have a lot of energy in my mind. I didn't get the chance to do any research on this book, though.
I didn't feel obligated to.
So I don't know anything about it metatextually.
Do you know Al Ewing?
I do. I know Al Ewing.
I've heard of Al Ewing.
And,
Is it like an Irish name?
he's British, I believe.
Ewing? Really?
I don't know the difference.
Between Irish and British?
Nope.
Those troubles never even happened.
I support the British takeover of that land, personally.
They're all the fucking same. Just a bunch of mayonnaise people.
What else happened this week? Oh, time fully changed.
Mm-hmm. I invented time travel.
Yeah, we usually record this an hour later.
Well, actually, no.
Oh my god,
we're recording it an hour early today.
Should we disclose our plan?
We're going to play Mario Kart after this. You already know if you watched last week's episode about Genji Ito's Uzumaki.
Right now, technically speaking, both of us have class, but fuck it, because Mario comes out, and also it came out yesterday. We didn't know.
It was not my fault.
No one blamed you.
I blamed me.
And so we came up with this whole plan where we would ditch our last class so we could record this earlier, and then have time to play Mario Kart all night.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're doing. That's the life update, basically. Daylight savings, no hot water. It was really annoying.
It was.
If you guys were here, you would agree.
If you lived with us,
yeah,
you would be annoyed you didn't have hot water.
Oh,
but
yeah.
you'd also probably be annoyed you didn't have a bed to sleep in, or a room.
That's true.
Yeah.
Oscar and I also had very fruitful conversations 2 days ago about the future of this show. We planned out some January episodes.
Yes, we did.
So you guys should get excited about that.
During January, we don't have a lot going on.
Yeah. They're going to be really good. Or bad. But
we might be sick of each other.
Whatever spectrum they're on, it's going to be intense either way. We only find them when they're dead. Actually, there's one thing I remember about this. The cover is one in Eisner. Anyways, what do you think this book is about?
Forgot I had to fucking do this.
You don't have to.
I do. This was about sci-fi. I think that's the best way to put it. This was just like super hardcore sci-fi.
Yeah, it's really hardcore.
So there's a guy. His name is Jorge, right?
I don't know. I was reading it as George's.
That's not a name. George's isn't a name. I'm pretty sure it's Jorge.
Okay.
That's what I'm going to be saying the whole time.
I'm going to look it up.
Prepare to be triggered.
I'm going to look it up.
Okay.
Because I could have sworn it was George's because...
That's not a name.
I know, but when is Jorge ever spelled like that?
Sometimes Jorge is spelled George. Why did you just look up George's?
George's name...
Pronunciation. Your backpack is upside down. Google Pixel 8, guys, buy it. Don't.
Will you marry me?
Here we go.
Bonjour, this is Julian the Frenchman who makes French pronunciation videos here on YouTube, and we are looking at how to pronounce this French male given name. We're going to be looking at how to pronounce more interesting French names as well, so make sure to stay tuned and consider subscribing. Of course, in English, this is known as George, but how do you say it in France? We say it as Georges. Georges. D-S-E.
His name is George.
But that's French. I'm pretty sure he's not French.
What could he be?
I think he's like Spanish, isn't he?
I don't think that they spell it with a J. There's no... The G in...
I know, but doesn't it get anglicized?
No, that's not how names work.
Break George's down into
George's.
George?
If you wanted to say it the anglicized way, the way we would say it would literally be George's.
So his name is George.
His name is George. It definitely wasn't... What did you think it was?
Jorge?
That's just not how the G sounds. A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
What are you saying right now?
H, E, the Spanish alphabet.
I don't know the Spanish alphabet. I don't speak Spanish.
Anyways.
Okay, anyway, George.
He's the captain of a ship, an autopsy ship of a
The
crew of
Malik.
4. Yeah.
Yes, the Malik. Basically, the way this world seems to work is people have ships and they cut up pieces of big dead people called gods.
They're not called gods. They're gods.
They're gods. And they're dead, and you cut their meat up, and the society is very authoritarian. You have to really follow the rules. Really heavy-handed with that.
You described the plot in the most complicated way possible. The book, which is called We Only Find Them When They're Dead, is about a ship that mines parts from gods because they only find them when they're dead. But the Captain George's Malik, would like to find one when they're alive.
Definitely Malik.
He would like to find one when they're alive. That's what it's about.
You really stepped on my toes here.
I think I stepped on your toes deservedly so.
Yeah, perhaps.
Did you,
what was this really about?
What was this really about? This is about a lot. I mean, it's sci-fi, right? So
I think this is about the crushing weight of authoritarianism and fascism.
It's about colonialism, too.
Yeah, those things tend to go together, though.
Yeah.
Don't they?
And it's interesting because it's not a government agency, it seems. It's a corporation.
I don't think they really clarify which it is.
Seems to be a corporation, considering they're making money.
But couldn't it be just like a government entity regulating how people make their money?
I guess if it's a post-Earth human society, following our trends, and in theory the capitalist structures would just become government.
It's also just when you're hunting. If you were hunting, there's illegal ways to hunt, like poaching, and the government is going to stop you from doing it, even though they're not technically a corporate entity interested in your goods.
All right, but anyways, what'd you think about it? Did you like it?
Yeah,
really.
I like the art.
The art's really good.
The art's fucking crazy.
It is.
It's quite good.
Really good, and also really good for this story in particular. I think.
I think you could put this art on anything and it would be good.
Well, the art is good.
The art is just crazy.
You could not put this art on anything. If this was on fucking...
No, I'm saying this art is good no matter what these little text bubbles say.
Oh, yeah. Sure, yeah, but I meant the atmosphere of the plot.
Oh, I think, it's good because the art style is a little bit confusing.
It's very confusing, yeah.
But also the story's just supposed to be kind of confusing.
Yeah, it's this big space odyssey soap opera type thing, and it's it's beautiful. I mean, the panels kind of seem like mosaic painting. Not mosaic, but they're
very color oriented.
They're very colorful, and they're big, grandiose paintings. There's not a lot of motion in the panels. The panels are very static, but on purpose, I think.
The way it depicts motion is it just puts a blur on a still image.
Yeah, which is fine.
Yeah, no, yeah.
And it kind of feels like it's telling, it's almost like you're in a museum looking at the history of these events, not reading a story, which I think is on purpose, because sci-fi always, my opinion at least, my favorite sci-fi are books that take themselves seriously enough where it's this is happening, this is real.
One thing about it I liked very much is it was very aware of itself as a piece of media, I guess.
Yeah.
So it was always talking to you this is the year, this is the ship, etc. It had a very regimented structure for how it was telling
and then
itself to you. It was
flips it later, which we'll get into.
Sure, but it's very intentional.
Yeah.
Which I usually enjoy in a something like this.
Yeah.
It was really short.
It was a really short book. I didn't remember how short it was.
I'm overcome by anxiety that I'm not going to have enough to say about it.
I'm overcome by anxiety that I am going to lose in every single Mario Kart race.
Well, who cares?
People.
The people? What do you mean, the people?
When we update them next week. Anyways, what can I say about this book? What's a discussion question that I can come up with?
Tell me about Al Ewing.
Tell me about Al Ewing. Okay. So basically, Al Ewing is a writer from a part of Europe somewhere. As we've established, we don't know which part of Europe.
Oh, yeah.
Just talked about this.
The ones with the mayonnaise people.
Yeah. No. What? Anyways, this is, as far as I know, his only independent work.
What do you mean independent?
Not through Marvel.
Okay, what was this published by?
Boom Studios. Which is it's much smaller than Image, the other publishing company that you know about, but it's a similar concept where it's I don't know how the copyright actually works on Boom books every time. It's different, but they own this. I'm fairly confident. Al Ewing and Simone own this.
This universe.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But Boom is a weird publishing company. But you know what they're really good at? Making the fucking spines on their books really tight.
Oh, yeah.
They do this every time.
It was kind of hard to read it.
They do it every time. Boom always does that.
It was kind of hard to read it.
Yeah, the spines are really tight.
Some of the text in there, couldn't quite see it.
But yeah, this is published by Boom, so it's just independent. It was like kind of a breakout hit. It came out in 2020, I want to say. Oh, no, sorry, 2020. No, yeah, it started being published in 2020. And it was like kind of a big hit because Al Ewing is still really popular at Marvel. He started there in like the mid 2000s with a Loki series that's really good. Like, really good for no good reason, really. It's just really good.
Is that the one where he becomes the president?
No, that came later.
Oh.
Which, actually, you know what's interesting about that series?
What?
The one where he's president was supposed to be a lot better, but because Trump, wasn't supposed to, win the election, and then he won, they were writing this, they were like, shit, this isn't funny anymore, this is, really scary. So then they had to change course, and it's a really funny story. Because he won, and they're like, well, shit.
Yeah, we can't do this anymore.
We cannot do this anymore. But anyways, and then he played around with the Avengers for a while. He was not like the head Avengers writer, because that would have been...
Al Ewing.
Yeah, Al Ewing,
okay, not Loki.
No, that would have been Hickman, I guess, technically, but he was, writing these, smaller Avengers series that were really focused on, the ground-level heroes. Which is interesting, actually, because this book is not very grounded in human... Day-to-day life, but it's very grounded in human emotion.
Mm-hmm.
It is a huge space operatic sci-fi story, right? It's really about, parents and, a fucked up family. And that's something that Ewing...
Well, isn't it also just about, fascism infiltrating family life?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's also kind of, not fascism, but his Avengers series was about Luke Cage basically starting in Avengers.
Iron Fist?
Or that's Iron Fist's friend.
Just his buddy?
His name's Luke Cage.
He just is, he doesn't have a name?
Power Man.
Oh.
He doesn't go by that anymore, because it's...
Really dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, he basically starts an Avengers team called, I don't remember, but essentially their purpose...
The Luke Boys.
Their purpose is to help out just random people.
Okay.
And their purpose is to democratize superheroes. People, request their services.
Mm-hmm.
So, Al Ewing is very interested in that as a concept. Of, how do humans with these grand powers kind of work. And then he would go on to write The Ultimates, which is a series that takes place in, the cosmic realm of Marvel. Mm-hmm. So it's very much interested in this. And right now, he's basically in charge of the cosmic side of Marvel. So he's essentially just a sci-fi writer at this point at Marvel. But in between of his Avengers and his X-Men work, his X-Men's what he's doing with the sci-fi stuff, he wrote Immortal Hulk.
Oh.
Which is what you have heard of. And it's a body horror book. So basically, all of this to say, Al Ewing is really good at writing basically any genre. He's very good at writing.
I find it weird when people can only write one genre. It's what's happening?
It's also because it's genre's a fake concept, right? So it's they've invented the story and they told themselves it was this genre.
You can just do whatever you want.
You can just say it's not. Did you get a new Apple Watch?
No, that's my broken one.
Oh, you've just been charging it?
That's the most convenient place to keep it.
It's really funny.
Guys, you might have noticed I had an Apple Watch, but the face of it fully came off.
Yeah, Apple, and it's send us a new one.
It's really broken, and I just keep it on the charger because that's the only place for it on the desk.
I see now.
And yeah.
Anyways, Al Ewing is a really good writer.
The whole episode was like this. It was just you and I was off screen.
Honestly, I think we're getting better at this whole the episode doesn't have to necessarily just be about the comic thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Well, before it was a very blunt instrument.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now it's
a scalpel.
We
not quite a scalpel.
We go in and we go out. Dude, in my queer cinema class today, my film theory class today, which was about queer cinema, I got really confused. Have you guys you've seen it, Oscar. You guys should watch But I'm a Cheerleader.
I actually haven't.
You haven't?
You can talk about it.
Okay, it's really good.
That was it?
I've seen it before, but Dude, what do you think the difference...
You have to cut your toenails.
I don't have a finger nail clipper.
I lent you mine.
Yeah, a month ago.
Do you want it back?
Yeah. I'm never gonna buy one. Anyways, one of the things about the movie, it's a comedy movie, obviously, and I've only ever seen it, in my house, in bed. I've never seen it in, a theater, right? And this wasn't a theater, obviously, it was a classroom. But isn't it interesting how comedy movies are they're just not good alone?
Well, yeah.
They're just not good.
No, I know a lot about this. There's been repeated studies on, children. They'll watch a cartoon alone, and they'll rate it, 7 out of 10 funny. And if they watch it with one friend, not only will they start laughing, which they didn't do when they're alone, but they'll rate it much better in terms of how funny it is.
Anyway,
it applies to adults too. All things that are funny are only really funny in a social setting.
I'm bringing this up for a reason.
Okay.
It's a really long segue back to the comic.
Okay.
But this is what I was trying to say. This story is really confusing and complicated, right? But as you're reading it, you're very into the world, I would say. I don't think that the comic is hurt by the story, because it's like, I don't think, at least for me, I'm not pausing every few pages and being like, what's happening? I just don't care that much. Because I feel like the comic works really well just to immerse you into it. So, the segue that I was trying to make, that I'm totally sorry, is that film, which is a shared experience, is much maybe easier to talk about, or like a really confusing sci-fi movie, than maybe a book like this. Because don't you feel like this was a very individual experience? Like, the art especially really pulls you in.
I guess so. And it's not like you can read a comic with another person.
Yeah, like, you can't do
this
that.
This is the closest thing you can ever do.
Yeah, this. Yeah. Nothing else.
You couldn't, like, read it at the same time.
Like, if you had a friend and you started a podcast, wouldn't be as close as this.
We are, like, we've got, like, blood bonds.
Yeah.
I mean, I read it really slowly, which I'm going to guess you didn't do. You don't tend to read things slowly.
This one I read pretty slow.
Like, I really wanted to make sure I was absorbing everything that was happening on each page.
I read this very slow. This is like the fourth time I've read this, and I still barely understand it.
I probably read it each page like 3 times, just to be like, okay, I know the dialogue, but I need to, like, make sense of this crazy art that is fucking happening in front of me. You know, like, actually know what's happening. Because I can look at it and be like, oh, that's cool. But if I actually want to know what's going on, it takes some care. There
are some panels in this which are, like, you kind of have to sit back with their, like the first time you see a god, like the dead god, it's, like, really big and really cool. And I feel like I just sort of sat there looking at it for a while.
Yeah, you just have to look at it.
You just kind of have to look at it.
Well, and a drawing that good, I feel just bad flipping the page. Like, I want to look at it.
Yeah. The art's really good in this book.
I don't have much else to talk about. I mean, like, the story was, like, fine.
The story's fine. I think it's just... First of all, supposedly it's a second volume, but, like, I don't know anything about it because I don't think it came out till very recently. But I think the problem is that, like...
It was cool that he became a god. Spoilers.
Yeah.
That was a nice ending. I like that.
The ending's really good. Do you know what I really think the problem with this book is? And it's a stupid argument, but I bet this would have been a lot better if I read it, like, 1 issue a month than it would have been if I just sat down and read this whole story, because I'm expecting when I sit down and read this whole thing, it to flow very well, but each chapter is, like, pretty distinct, I think, honestly.
I don't know if I agree with that, but
Well, in between chapters,
I think
in the middle, they jump a year.
I know, but I think this book that is 5 chapters could have easily been, like, just 10.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I think if the pacing was even slower, like, it's already pretty slow paced, but I really could have used a bit of a slower pace. Just, like, I would have been into it a lot more. Like, the emotional moments would have mattered a lot more.
Yeah. That's interesting, because if you had read it month to month, the pacing would have been slower.
Yeah, I know.
Comics are so fucking weird.
Yeah, it's weird.
Because you control how that works, obviously.
I mean, the experience it's controlled by so many factors.
It's user-specific.
Yeah. No 2 people read a comic the same.
No, except for us.
We have universally agreed on everything we've ever read, actually.
Mm-hmm. So the covers of this book are something I really like. At the end of this volume, they have all the variants, which they normally do. Actually, that's interesting. All the volumes I've given you so far have not done that. That's incredibly common.
Really?
That's like the bare minimum expectation in a collection, is that they'll have some variants, because it's like, you want to see what it looks like. But anyways, the covers won an Eisner. Not the variant covers, the main ones.
Okay, but the variants are really good.
Yeah, but I think there's something really striking and effective about this. Because the way the graphic design looks, see, look at this. With the way that the text has, like, all this dimension, I feel like, it feels like I'm looking at the entire universe, and the text is, like, breaking out of it.
Well, and it's like Star Wars.
Yeah, it's like Star Wars, but it's cool, and then there's the face in the dead, which is so cool, and then this tiny little ship. It's so small.
Yeah.
Compared to this, like, obviously the idea of a god. That's what we'll talk about. When it says god, right? The first thing that you said to me was that they're called gods. You don't think they're gods?
Nothing about them seems all that godly. Because my conception of God, okay, like the God that's in the Bible, first of all, could never die.
Mm-hmm, sure.
But even if it could, it wouldn't just be a big guy.
Well, this is obviously not the God from the Bible.
But, like, if these gods are to be gods, then they would be, like, omnipotent.
Yeah.
But, like, they aren't, because they literally killed one.
Well...
You can't kill something that's omnipotent.
Okay.
Am I wrong?
No.
So, like, it seems confusing.
I don't know. I think you are wrong. Sorry. Omnipotent, what does it mean? Like, tell me what it means.
They're all powerful. They can do fucking anything.
But it doesn't mean that you can't also do something to it.
Yeah, but, dude, it was like a fully conscious god. And you know what they did? They took a butter knife through its throat, and then it died.
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy. If it's a god.
Well, it was already suffering.
If they were really gods, I would want to see their influence before they died. because they are able to influence this world that they are the gods of, aren't they?
They're not the gods of this world.
Then what's the point of calling them gods?
They only find them when they're dead because they're the gods of a different world. They find them when they're dead, and when they're dead, they travel between worlds.
They did not say they're gods of a different world.
Yes, they did.
They said they from a different world.
Yeah, that would imply they're gods from a different world.
That's not true, because in like the Bible and stuff, gods from a different world and acts on ours.
But it's not the Bible.
But that's where God comes from.
But that's not necessarily what these are. These are not biblical gods.
So what are they?
I don't know. We don't know. The whole point is no one knows. The whole point of the book is that it's just this innate desire to know, but you don't know.
And given what I know about God and what we usually call God, this wouldn't really fit the label.
But is there any evidence in this book that the characters that inhabit this world agree with your definition of God? There's significantly more evidence that they see these gods as real gods than there is that they don't.
That's not true, because they always are talking about acts of God, but they never connect the two.
Well, you know what else is something interesting that I was observing?
Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. I just disagree. Because I think limiting what the concept of a god is just makes it so that you can't tell stories about, like, the story doesn't even work on my basic function. But anyways.
I would just call them something else. They're just other...
They're godly cosmic beings.
They're
That's
cosmic
the point.
beings. I don't know.
I
like, gods is a perfectly fine name for them, but I just don't really think they really fit the description that we use for gods.
They may not be the most powerful god, though, right? Because also, if you think about it, like, you're being very biblical, but what about a pantheon of gods? Like, a sun god, blah, blah, blah. Those can die. Like the stories with Zeus and all that mythology, they die all the time.
But they also, like, asserted their will onto our realm.
Sure, but we just didn't see them do that. There's no evidence they did.
But I would have liked to see it. Then I would be like, oh shit, that's literally God.
But let me tell you something. Theory that I have about this book.
That'll happen later.
It's just a reading. It might. I'm sure it will. If there's more. I wouldn't do it. It's like the obvious thing to do. But anyways.
I wish it already happened.
My reading of this, and something I've just developed is, do you remember that chant they kept doing, the like, all's well, bells, blah, blah, blah?
Yeah.
That is so similar to a prayer, especially with the idea that, like, when the bells cling, it's time to pray, right? Like, that's...
The church bells.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, and also we're looking at a world that's clearly, like, somewhat post-society, the way that we perceive it, at least.
Well, it's post-terrestrial.
Yeah, the way that we... So, it's possible that they are post even needing to believe in these gods. And that their own religion is, like, the mining and the capitalist stuff that they do.
Well,
and so the gods die because they lose their power and belief. And that's maybe something that we'll explore later.
But no one believes in...
He does.
George Malik.
Right. Only George believes, and guess what he does? He finds a live god.
But George doesn't believe that he is God, and yet he becomes a god.
I don't think he becomes a god.
That's how it ends.
He gets eaten by a god.
No. Dude, go to the last panel. The last panel is him as God.
Oh, right. Yeah.
He's a god.
Sure.
So how did he become God if no one believes in him except... And he doesn't even believe that he's a god. This is quid pro quo.
Well, Jay believes in him.
Not that he's God. You're really upset about how much sense I'm making.
No, I'm upset because I think it's giving us a lot and we're not figuring it out, and I'd like to figure it out.
I don't think it's figure-outable in these 5 chapters. I think we need to read more of this. Go get the second volume.
I don't have it! Go get it!
Guys, we're going to Barnes & Noble.
I was just at Barnes & Noble.
I also... Look at this illustration of Al.
Oh, he also has a really good run on Guardians of the Galaxy, which I haven't actually read, but I'm fairly confident.
This camera is really being weird right now.
Is it showing you?
No, it is. It's just like it's starring a lot. I don't know.
This camera, by the way, this very professional camera.
Can I show you something?
Yeah.
Aped.
Yeah.
Aped.com.
Yeah.
You know who else? You know what else Aped.com reviewed?
Department of Truth.
And Uzumaki.
Really? And they were on Uzumaki?
Yeah, and also I was looking at this manga in Barnes & Noble called PTSD Radio.
Mm-hmm.
They had her Aped.
They're a huge comic
site. They had a review on the back of PTSD Radio.
They're a great site. I liked Aped. I'm a big fan.
It's a really funny name. Aped? You've been aped?
It used to stand for something, but I don't remember what it does.
AI.
No.
AI.
It stands for, like... It used to stand for something. Anyways. This is a terrible episode.
Yeah. I think we fumbled.
We really
picked a short comic.
Do you know what else? What? We really want to play
Mario. Do you want to talk about the author's note at the end of Tommy?
Sure. I don't know what that means.
Can you pull up? Give me your iPad.
Jamie?
Just give it to me. Okay. Entertain them while I get this in.
I'm gonna start a series on TikTok, guys, eventually, when I have the time, where I review the new era. Sorry, where I go through the Krakoan era of X-Men. If you're interested in that, it'll be on TikTok.
Okay.
It'll be on TikTok because it's the most healthy and non-toxic place to put it.
So Tomy is Junji Ito's first thing ever, like actually.
Like, he was born,
Yep, and then he made Tomy.
and then he made Tommy.
This is the afterword, and I think it's really fun.
Are you gonna read it out loud to me?
Do you want me to?
No, I want to read it out loud. I want to be because I don't know it.
But I might need to interject at times.
That's why I didn't want you reading it out loud.
But I might need to, or else it might not make sense.
It was about 24 years ago that I started working on Tommy. This isn't from 2010.
Yeah, so it's old.
That's almost a quarter of a century. Unnecessary statement, I think. Anyways, at the time I was working as a dental technician. Big money there.
Yeah.
As I mulled over ideas in my head, and I would use my days off to work on the manga. I churned out the original 30-page short when I was living in Nagoya in a rundown apartment complex called Nagoya-so near Isha Station on the Higashima line. I decided that I would submit it for the consideration at the Umezu Awards, and is that like the Eisner's but for manga?
It's actually, I think it's just for horror.
Oh, that's cool. And I was quite serious about it. I was busy working on the manga pages. One of my friends, famous for his antics. Oh, yeah.
This he's so sweet. Junji Ito, I don't know if you know, he's like a really sweet guy.
So he's not working like 50 hours a day and like doesn't see his wife and everything?
No.
No?
He's so wholesome.
He's just a normal guy.
He has he has the biggest outlet for his negativity possible.
Yeah, that's true. Normally I would have and scribbled it in the panels of my rough draft. Normally I would have playfully gotten him back for that, but at the time I grumpily grabbed my eraser to clean up his handiwork. I was serious. This also marked the first time I had properly taken a manga to completion. I barely managed to finish the final draft, which in retrospect was quite rough around the edges, before the deadline rushed to the post office in my car so I could make it to the dentist office before my lunch break ended.
Yeah, he was really serious about this.
Incredibly, Tomy won an honorable mention at the first Umezu Awards. At that point, I was so convinced that I was on a lucky break that I bought a mountain of lottery tickets.
So funny!
Which unfortunately didn't work out. To the contrary, I had a horrible string of bad luck after that. The dentist office was in the process of moving, and I was trying to get the company's president's wife's stick shift up a hill when I almost plowed down some of my coworkers. On another occasion, I was on my way home from work late at night and was pulling my beloved Toyota into the Nagoya-so parking lot when another person in my building, a rebellious-looking fellow, totaled it with his crown. Even showed the sheer bliss of winning an honorable mention at the Uzume Awards eclipsed those things. After Tomy ran...
That's so nice. That's such a nice
really
sentence.
Nice. After Tomy ran in the magazine, I would joke with my coworker, Mr. H. I want to write a whole book about Mr. H.
Yeah, anonymous.
Yeah. And how it was going to be made into a movie, and I would be judging a swimsuit contest during the audition for the part of Tomy. This is more than a decade before Tomy was actually made into a movie.
Isn't that so cool?
Reminiscing aside, it's all thanks to the supportive readers like you that Tomy has been released in so many different formats.
You didn't read it.
And not you. You pirated it.
I read it. I'm gonna buy it. I will.
I'm not reading the rest of this.
Dude, isn't that so funny?
Yeah, I'm so glad that you didn't read it, though.
Dude, but imagine, he was just like, it's gonna be so fun when the thing I wrote is a movie, and then it just was.
Yeah.
That's fucking awesome.
Is it a good movie?
I don't know, I haven't watched it. I'm going to.
Is it live action?
No, it's
Then why would... I don't understand.
He was joking.
Oh, I was confused.
He's really funny.
Yeah.
Also, when he was like, I almost mowed down my coworker.
A few of my like multiple people almost died.
Yeah.
Dude, that would have been a great manga for him to make.
But he was just so happy.
Yeah, he was very happy.
It's so when I read that.
Wouldn't you be?
Yeah. Dude, if anything I got an honorable mention, it'd be awesome. If this podcast gets an honorable mention at the
Webbies, the Streamies,
the Potties.
The Potties.
Wait, no, they have like...
There's a podcast award show.
Yeah, they have like the Twitch awards, right?
Yeah, you can also win a daytime Emmy for podcasts now, I think.
That's dumb.
You don't want to submit ours for a daytime Emmy?
But that's stupid.
You don't want to win an Emmy?
Okay, but it shouldn't be up for contest.
It's just because, like, what about ours? Why not ours? Ours is basically a TV show.
I mean, ours.
Sure.
Ours.
We're submitting for the daytime Emmy.
The only difference between this and, like, behind the NBA is we don't have a big counter.
If it's free to submit, do you want to submit for daytime Emmy? Sure.
you know Inside the NBA.
Yeah, I've seen it.
It's really funny.
Yeah, you showed me it.
It's so funny. The only difference between us and them is they have a big desk.
And we're funnier. On purpose.
They're funny on accident. They're really fucking funny.
This was not a great,
A pick.
It was a pretty good pick. I
enjoyed reading it, but it wasn't great for discussion.
Yeah, and I didn't have the time to do
Yeah, there's
research.
a lot of manga I read that
I
think is really good, but it wouldn't be good for the show.
Because that's the other problem, is I wanted to pick something I didn't really know much about. Like, I own this, but I don't really remember anything.
Yeah.
But the problem is with picking up something that you don't know much about is that you don't know that, like, everything I've picked so far I know I could talk about for a while. But anyways, I could say more about this if you want.
I really did enjoy the storytelling style.
It's really a good... I don't want people to get the wrong idea. It's very good. Sorry. I just accidentally touched Oscar's foot.
Like, very sensually.
I don't think something can be sensual when I don't even know this is happening.
But you were like...
Does sensuality not...
imply intention?
Yeah.
No, I don't think it does.
I think we should make a compilation of all the times we've said imply.
Give our editor that Herculean task.
Is this our 2nd month anniversary?
No, this is 7.
7 next week.
One Piece. Every One Piece episode is a month anniversary.
Oh my god. Guys, we're recording One Piece again next week.
Get excited.
Get excited.
Tweet about it.
One Piece.
Tweet about
Just
it.
a week away. Did you see our tweet about One Piece?
I did.
Great tweet. Anyways.
We're waiting for you guys to respond.
Yeah.
Did you see it?
What do we do now? Do you want to play rock, paper, scissors?
I do want to play rock, paper, scissors.
Oh, wait. What would you give this?
I would give this 3 Jorges out of 5 Georges.
I would give it, I'm trying to think of a classic joke.
This is really suspenseful.
I would find it when it's dead. That's what I give it. I would go through the effort of finding
I would simply find it when it's alive.
I would find... I wouldn't go through the effort of finding it when it's alive, but if I found it when it's dead, I'd be very happy. And I would mourn its loss. I would mourn its loss, but I would be happy I found
You would
it.
simply avoid the whole plot.
I wouldn't get into the situation in the first place.
Yeah. If you guys don't know, there's no way you could. This is like my cardinal saying. Every time Max is like, what if this happened? And I was like, I would just never be in that situation.
Or, in the more dramatic sense, when I'm having a problem and I'm like, what do I do? And Oscar's like, oh, yeah, I could see how this is a big... I don't know, I wouldn't be in this problem.
It would just never happen.
I wouldn't have this problem.
This is usually applied to some of our common friends who have very ridiculous lives. And I'm just like, this would never happen to me.
Dude, if you think we're ridiculous, everyone we know...
Everyone
is insane.
We should get some guests.
You should...
Guys, we're playing rock, paper, scissors.
Rock, paper, scissors. Aww.
You really thought you would get me.
I really thought I would get you. Bye!
Toodles!